Okay, so this is a little tutorial on how you can shave down the tread on your heels so that you're not getting caught on that all the time. It allows you to slide a little bit better. So you want to start at the tip of the shoe. And my shoes have already been shaved down a little bit on the front. So I'm going to go around this edge. And I'm just taking the very edge of the shoe off with this box cutter. You want to have a sharp blade. And you want to make sure that you don't shave down too much. So you're just going to take that blade around the edge. And I'm being careful not to get my thumb as I'm doing that, but I'm pulling it toward my thumb. I'm sure some people would say, no, that's not a smart idea, but for me, that's the most effective way to do this. Trying to give you a good picture of what I'm doing here. So be a little bit careful, because if you've got a platform that's painted, which most of us do, then you're probably gonna nick the edge, but you don't want to nick too much of your platform. So I'm continuing to take just the edge off all the way around. And then I run my finger around the edge, and if I'm finding rough places, uneven places, I'm going to kind of shave those down a little bit more. But you want to go more inward to the shoe as you smooth those transitions out. So see, I've got along the edge here on the lip of my shoe, the front lip of my shoe. It's a little bit rough. I can still feel it around the edge. So I'm carefully trying to shave that little bit down that's still catching on the edge. And this is kind of, like I said, I'm going a little more into the tread part of the shoe rather than the edge with this, so that we can take it down a bit more. You don't want to go overboard, because you don't want to end up pulling this away from. But I would just kind of look. I can see here on this edge that there is actually still some tread on the very edge. Carefully, I'm going to take that off. And like I said, you're probably going to nick a little bit. You can see where that got nicked, if I think you can see. So this edge is the place you're most likely to get caught up when you're sliding. So this needs to be shaved back enough along the edge. And you can actually see, if you look close, you can see the tread if it's still kind of protruding at the very edge, the very bottom, or this edge of the shoe. You can see that and you can feel that. And you want to carefully take that down. With a lot of shoes, you can touch up these places that get nicked along the edge with fingernail polish. That's what I use. Or shoe polish if you happen to have like black, white shoes that shoe polish comes in those colors. And I would only worry about touching up the platform or wherever you've nicked if you're doing photo shoots or performing. So now you can kind of tell, I don't know if you can see it well, this is now shaved in and kind of beveled all the way around the edge. So what I did for the rest, because that box cutter, and I can see a little rough spot here that I want to shave down a bit more. Same thing right there, right along the edge of the platform where I don't want to be catching when I'm sliding, when I'm dancing. I'm being kind of delicate with these little shaves because I don't want to take too much off. I don't want to end up damaging the shoe or making the tread come completely off. Around the toe of my shoe is pretty rough because the first time I shaved that toe down was using a dull razor blade in the box cutter. So you want to make sure that you're using a sharp new razor blade on this. So now that I've beveled around the shoe, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a foot rasp. That's all black from my other shoe. This is just a metal foot rasp. You should be able to find it in the beauty aisle at like Walmart. And first I'm gonna concentrate on smoothing out those edges that I just beveled. Now be careful, again, this is just as likely to nick the polish or the finish on your platform. So you want to be careful with it so that you're filing on the edge of the tread and smoothing out those transitions on that edge that you just cut off with the box cutter. And so I'm trying to take that beveled edge and smooth it out along the transition. That's the first place that you want to use this lovely little foot rasp. Now this is going to take a little bit of work and a little bit of time on your part. So you just kind of keep working around that edge until you have a smooth, kind of rounded transition around the edge of the shoe, because that box cutter is going to leave it like a little bit chunky. I don't think that that's going to show up in this video, but it's going to leave it a little bit chunky and rough. So carefully I'm going along this edge, and I'm kind of, what I find is filing inward is going to give you the best results as far as taking off the roughness from the edge that you've just shaved. And you may find places where you want to use the razor blade a little bit more, a little bit closer to the very transition. Be really delicate though. Once you've already taken that edge off, be really delicate so that you're not taking too much. You're not ending up ruining your shoes doing this. You want to be getting just that edge that maybe is still there catching when you run your finger around the edge of your shoe. And still, I'm just using this forward carefully. You don't want to end up having stitches. So again, coming back, I'm going to continue just smoothing out that edge and making sure that it is not going to catch, especially on textured floors. When you're not working on a smooth hardwood surface, this is what we want to do, is really smooth down the transition. So you kind of have that sharp edge that's been created by shaving off the outside. And what you're trying to do is angle that. You're beveling that down into the shoe so that because these chunky places where you've taken chunks out of the tread with the razor blade are going to catch just as much as the tread we're trying to wear down. Especially around the corners. This is going to need some beveling. Again, I'm finding a spot that's right on the edge of the platform that needs to come off. Make sure that when you're doing that, if you're feeling that catch, that it's actually the tread and not the edge of the platform that you're feeling. Again, you don't want to take this down too much, especially around the edges. You don't want to create the duckbill effect or have that sole pull away from your shoe. So now that I kind of have those edges beveled around and smoothed out what's around the edge of the shoe, this is the time consuming part. You're going to take that foot rasp and you're just going to work. And what I've found is going different directions, starting around the edge of the shoe where you've been working already, really trying to go against the grain is what's going to wear that down. So I've still got plenty of rough tread on this. On my other shoe, this has been completely smoothed out, or at least 99% smoothed out. It's kind of hard to get rid of all of that tread, but that's going to take you a bit of time. So you're just going to keep at that tread, changing your directions. I like the diagonal, seems to work really well. Circular motions, up and down against the tread until it smooths out. And that's the time consuming part of this process, is taking off the actual textured tread on the bottom. Once you get rid of that textured tread, you can also kind of go back around those edges and make sure that the transition from the edge of the sole to where your center of your sole is nice and smooth. There's no catches as you're taking down that tread. So that's basically the gist of it. You want to be conservative with that razor blade, so whatever you can do with the foot rasp, you want to kind of try that to be your main source of smoothing out those edges too. I had to go back a few times, and you want to be a little gentler again around the edges so you're not damaging your platform. It took a few passes to get that edge really smoothed out so that it was smoothly transitioning to the tread, and a good 45 minutes probably of continuing to sand and scrape that tread down with your foot rasp. This is probably going to be done for once you're done with a pair of shoes. So that is basically how you take the tread off of the bottom of your pleaser so that it's not getting in your way when you're doing sliding footwork, or footwork in general. You're not tripping over your tread. And that's it.